Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to learn a little more about Salesforce's data security and mainly focus on how the role hierarchy in Salesforce impacts user data visibility. So if we're logged into Salesforce, you can simply see I'm in my student object right now. And now I want to change some data security settings in Salesforce. So right now everything is public, meaning that everything on the student object is visible to everyone in the system. I'll simply go into setup and I will go to change my org-wide settings. So org-wide settings are the base level data security settings within Salesforce. And in order to do that, we will search for sharing settings in our quick find box. So from here, you can see all object level access. So for example, lead is public read write transfer. That means anyone can see or edit anyone else's leads, regardless of who owns it or who created it. And the same applies to all other objects, standard and custom in Salesforce. You can see their default internal access. Some are public. You can see product is public read write, and some of these you can see are private. Now private means that no one except for the owner can edit that specific record. So if I set leads to private, then no one will be able to edit any leads unless they own it. They won't even be able to see those leads unless they are the owner of that lead. So this creates a problem, right? So if I actually want to hide data, I will set the object settings to private, which is fine. But now the problem is, once I set it to private, if the manager wants to see the data for a junior that works under them, the manager will not be able to see it because we set the settings to private. Now private means that only the record owner can see that data or edit that data or that record. So now what about people who are above that individual? If I create a record, now I own it, I can see and edit it. But what about my manager or my manager's manager or the director or the CEO? What about them? Shouldn't they be able to see what I'm doing? Shouldn't they be able to see my data or be able to edit it? That is exactly what roles in Salesforce allows us to solve. So this problem can be solved by using role hierarchies within Salesforce. Basically, anything that an individual can see or that a user can see or do in Salesforce, their boss or their manager should have that access and more. Now, how do you actually set that up? So this was sharing settings. This was org-wide defaults. I just wanted to show this to you real quick. But the main magic happens when you search for role in your quick find box, and you will see roles right here under users. Just click on it. And you can see that Salesforce gives us a few roles by default. Now there are a couple of different views for roles. So some of you may directly not see this screen. You may actually see a different view. So if you click here in view pick list, so some of you may be defaulted to this view, which is show in tree view, which is also fine, doesn't matter, nothing wrong with that. And over here you can see all the roles that currently exist in the system. So you have CEO, then below CEO you have CIO, and then below CIO you have Sales WW. So CIO and Sales WW, if you really notice, are on the exact same level. So if you look at it from left to right, so you can see the leftmost is the CEO, and then a little bit to its right is the CIO, and the Sales W is also right under CIO. So it's not towards the right, it's just below. So they are both basically at the same level of the hierarchy. So the CIO and the Sales WW are both at the same level of the hierarchy in the corporate structure. So one is not the senior for the other. So CIO is not the boss of Sales WW, and neither is Sales W the boss of CIO. Now if you go further right, you can see that Sales AMER and Sales EMEA both fall under the Sales WW. So they're towards more right. So they fall below the hierarchy for the Sales W. Now what this means is anything that a person with this role does, so anything that a user with the Sales EMEA profile does or sees or creates, their boss, who is the sales WW, should be able to see and do all of that. Other than that, the CIO and CEO are also very senior people in the company, right? So they should also be able to see or do what the sales EMEA or sales AMER user is able to do. So this is what roles allows us to do. So right now, these are a few roles that were created in the system. And even in your Salesforce basically creates a bunch of roles by default. You can obviously choose to use them, or you can just create your own roles. So now in this case, let's say I want to create another role under CEO. So I will simply, all I have to do is click add role under the CEO. And I will create a role for the COO, which is the Chief Operating Officer. So I give it a label, I give it a name, and both of these, the name gets populated. Who does this role report to? It reports to the CEO. So basically, CEO is the topmost person, no one's above them. Right below the CEO, so there's this person, CIO, who reports to the CEO. And you can choose a full name that you wish to display on the report. So you can write down Chief Operating Officer. So now on your reports, this is how it's going to show up. So I hit save. So my new role has been created. All right, so our new role has been created. Now if I go back, I can simply click on roles again over here. I can see a COO role has been created, and it is at the same level in the hierarchy as the CIO and the sales WW. So all three of these roles are basically at the same level of the hierarchy in the corporate structure. They all fall below the CEO, but then they're not seniors or juniors of each other. They're peers of each other, and they have team members. So now, for now, only the sales AMER and sales EMEA fall below a specific role. However, you can create more roles. Maybe you can create another operating officer or a junior operating officer under COO. So I'll add that. Junior operations officer. Now this person will report to the COO. Save. Now if we go back, we'll just click on roles here. And now you can see that there is a new role, Junior Operations Officer, that reports the COO. So if you notice the margin, you can see that this Junior Operations Officer role is at the same margin as the Sales AMER and the Sales EMEA. So they are all at the bottom of the hierarchy. The Junior Operations person reports to the COO. The two salesperson report to the Sales WW. Now the Sales WW and the COO are basically at the same role. So anyone below them is basically a junior, regardless of if they're on the same team or not. So anything that their junior can see or do should also be doable for their seniors, right? So anything that their juniors can do, they will also be able to do, and they will also be able to see. That's what roles basically allows you to achieve. Now you've told Salesforce that this is your corporate role hierarchy. Now when you're creating your users, so when you create your users, you can simply go into users on your left, right here. And now instead of creating one, if we just open one, edit, we try to edit one. So you can see you have the role option here. So now this Bruce Kennedy is the sales AMER. So their role is the sales AMER. That means they're obviously at the bottom of the role hierarchy. They report to the sales WW. Now if I change their role to the junior operating officer, now they report to the COO. So anything that Bruce Kennedy creates, or any data that Bruce Kennedy can edit or see, their seniors, Bruce's seniors, will also be able to do that. Now Salesforce knows where this role falls in the hierarchy. So you've given the corporate hierarchy to Salesforce, and now it knows who is the senior and who is the junior. So regardless of your security settings, Salesforce will simply make sure that anyone who is a junior, if they're doing something, the seniors should be able to see and do that. That's how the role hierarchy and the role structure in Salesforce actually works.